Hello, you beautiful people. Skippy The Loremaster here. Welcome to my channel. And today I'm going to be talking to you about the current situation in Afghanistan and how the Taliban are practically taking over the entire country, reinstituting this oppressive regime from 20 years ago, and bringing back terror not only to Afghanistan and to its 38 million people, but also to the surrounding region of the Middle East and the entire world, and why it is very important for us to keep up with this and to admit the mistakes of the past that were made and the mistakes of today, of our foreign policy decisions, and much more. And I'm going to be talking also a little bit of historical context as well. So currently what is happening in Afghanistan right now is the Taliban, which was a group that was founded in the early 90s and took control in 1995, 1996, after the Soviet Union had left in 1989. And this group, this same group that brought so much oppression to that area, so much fear and death and onslaught, and inspired so much terror, specifically with their sponsoring of different terrorist groups that were underneath their wing, like Al-Qaeda, which was obviously led by Osama bin Laden, who, we had a war against him, war on terror. And this is talking about their reinstituting of their, what would you call it, their perfect state or country of Islam, right? Which is honestly, it's a radical version of Islam that has been perverted and turned into horse dung, honestly. And their plan is to reinstitute a government that basically completely ignores all progress that could be made for the future, and for its people, and for the world, really truly. And currently what's happening is they've taken over every single major city, except for Kabul, which is the capital city in Afghanistan. And we are having to basically in essence take all of our people out of the embassy, and different people in the State Department, and different people who are like our diplomats and stuff, and we're trying to get them out of there. Right, we're trying to basically take them out of there before this death and this onslaught comes from the Taliban. And we sent about 5,000 soldiers there, 3,000 initially, and then we sent another 2,000. And they're going there, the airborne soldiers, who are such brave men and women. I gotta say, I have so much respect for the veterans, not only that are there, or I'm sorry, that were there and fought, in Afghanistan and died. I believe all 2,300 of them, bless their souls. But also, the airborne soldiers who are there right now, getting our men and our women out of there before this oppressive regime comes through and destroys everything, right? And the situation there is deteriorating very fast. And they've already announced that they will reinstitute an Islamic State, and then try to start up the caliphate again. And the previous Afghani government that we propped up with trillions of dollars, I think about 2 trillion actually, and billions of dollars for their government and for their military and for all of their stuff like that. They've basically just fallen. Ashraf Ghani, who is the president of that country, and honestly not even a man, he's a weasel. Okay, he has abandoned the country. He just left. I can't remember, it was to a neighboring country, to Tajikistan or something like that. And and Ashraf Ghani, he left their people to basically die while he is in some mansion held up somewhere. And the Afghan Defense Forces, which are about 300,000, 300,000 men, and they're accompanied by a strong air force that we gave them in, all the fighter jets, and we gave them tanks, we gave them artillery, and they're just surrendering. They're just like, we give up. they don't even have the will to fight, you know. And it's a multi-layered issue. And I'm not going to get political. I'm not, because that's not my intention. I'm merely here to give you information so you could decide, you know, based on your own. Because I know people can get very antagonistic, and I'm not trying to get that here on this channel. But I will say there was a massive system failure for many years in many different levels of policy, whether that's from when we tried to nation build them after we got the bad guys, and try to implement systems and institute systems there that we wanted, right, or believed was the best, you know, or spent the billions of dollars to prop up their military. All of that was a waste of time and money, whether it was from that to the hasty, the botched withdrawal that has just taken place just now of American troops, which has started this whole onslaught, to many other things. And, you know, and it is a multi-layered problem, but it's something that should be researched. It's something that should be looked into by everyone. And it's very important, not just for, once again, the 38 million people that live in Afghanistan, but the surrounding region, because it's going to inspire terror groups and embolden them, as well as the Taliban, which is a terrorist group. They like to act as if they're a governmental, you know, organization, or if they're like a political party. That's lies. They are a terrorist organization, point blank and simple. And they will never, or at least they should never, garner international attention and or international credibility, because they will never be that. They're just taking this country by force, taking its people by force, when most of the people don't want them. You see, people in the early 90s, they wanted that security that the Taliban gave them, you know, when the Taliban emerged out of all these warring tribes trying to destroy everything in a civil war in Afghanistan when the Soviet Union left. And they wanted that, they needed that, right? But they've realized the horrors that the Taliban have committed against them. And they've said, we don't want that anymore. I believe it's like 86%, like polling and opinion information and stuff like that. Like 86% of all people don't want them there anymore. And, you know, and it's so important that we acknowledge this. And I mean, you know, we acknowledge the foreign policy failures that we have. And it's also important to acknowledge, like, why did they surrender? You know, they could have fought against the Taliban, but they decided to just give up. And, you know, and the Taliban were the ones that helped Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda, you know, plan 9/11. And the 20th anniversary of 9/11 is coming up very shortly. And it's a shame that, you know, for practically, 20 years, you could say, yeah, 20 years, you know, we fought and bled, you know, for the freedom of that people that we were trying to get by destroying the Taliban. And it's a shame, and honestly kind of a spit on the veterans that, or you know, the men and women that died, right, for our freedoms, right, and for our security and for our safety, that, you know, the Taliban just now take over Afghanistan again and reinstitute this Islamic State that has already proven to be pure idiocy and horrible at every level, right? And, you know, we should look at the history. We should look at the foreign policy. We should look at, you know, why this has happened and try to address it in future instances. Because at this point, I mean, it's entirely up to the current administration what they want to do as far as them taking over again. But eventually, I think it will lead to more problems. But I don't want to speak bad on that. But yeah, it's completely tampered all of the human progress that could possibly be made. And I'm not necessarily saying, once again, that the Afghan government that we propped up was the greatest. It was filled with corruption. It was bad. But it's certainly much better than the Taliban. And that goes for several other countries throughout human history. I mean, you know, the before the Bolsheviks took over, I'm not saying that under Tsar Nicholas was necessarily the greatest, because it was bad. It was terrible. Very oppressive. But it was certainly much better than what came after with the communists. And the same goes for Cuba, Venezuela, many more nations throughout the world, where these oppressive regimes come and just take it by force. And that is not how we are supposed to be in this world. We're not supposed to take by force. Diplomacy may be, reaching deals, but yeah, so it's been terrible. It's been really bad. Yeah, I kind of made a little bit of a short video, but I just needed to get that out there. And please do your research, look into everything. Do what you can do to better your community and the people around you. And people are like, oh, why do you care about thousands of miles away? Well, you should care about humans, because that's living people, and you should care about their lives and the quality of their life. And this situation that is going on will degrade their lives and their quality of life, and that is not good. And we should all care about people around the world that are suffering from these different things. And there are many different problems, but we can face them. We can face them. And this is a gargantuan problem, believe me. It's going to shake the whole world and definitely shake the region. But hopefully, if we all band together, something can be done. So anyway, that's going to be the end of this video. Y'all have a great one. Please stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy. Y'all have a great one, okay? Bye-bye.